Premier Series in association with Dunboyne Castle, Delco and Urban Images.
It's all about skill and setup here in Mondello Park as Irish Premier Racing brings you the Formula Sheanes. Now these cars are going to be battling it out on the track later, doing speeds of up to 150 miles per hour. It sure looks like it's going to be a great day's racing. Savage, you're a pretty popular guy here with the motor racing. You always seem to pop up along the circuits. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the class that I'm in is Formula Sheane, and it's unusual in the class that you'll see here in Mondello because David Sheane a number of years ago decided that what had to be put in place was a class that was all equal across the board. So all of our cars, same engines, same gearboxes, it's down to driver and setup, which makes for, as you will have seen today, fairly exciting racing.
Adam, how many seasons have you been in Formula Sheane now?
This is my second season in Formula Sheane.
And how's the series going for you so far?
It's going well. It's very competitive, so it's just about getting a feel for the car and getting used to everything.
But not a terribly expensive class, I understand.
For what it is, it's quite good value for money when you look at the level of competitiveness.
So Formula Sheane's on the grid, the red light's on, 5-second board. It's young Gary Newsom there on pole position. A good start from him, a little bit of tyre smoke. Fantastic rid of these Wicklow built cars. Already contact on the front row. That looks like young Trevor Duffy going for the lead, and Anton Savage right down the inside. Great opportunistic move from him, but Newsom already fighting back on the right hand side, and that's young Christopher McCabe there going a little bit wide in the Brian Hardy car. And somebody going off there right up in the air and off. Savage it is already under attack now at turn 3 from Newsom. Then it looks like Michal Balfe, good first lap from him so far, and this huge grid, there's one of the Byrne cars going through, and Newsom right around the outside. Look at the back of the picture there, one of the cars just contacting right up in the air and down the escape hole, but these cars seem so robust. On board now with Liam Murphy coming around the S. You can see how much these cars move around, a lot of driving in these, grabbing fourth gear now on the way up the Dunlop corner, and you can just watch him taking a little bit of curve here on the inside there. He goes right up onto the curve there, Murphy pushing very hard to close in on the car in front, and Newsom already having a go. They're side by side now inside the first lap, starting lap 2, and Michal Balfe now trying to get down the inside. Can Newsom possibly get back across? He can't. He's left the door open a little bit there. Michal Balfe now up to second place, and a danger man there in fourth place, Brian Hardy, multiple champion. Remember, he's won 6 V titles and 2 Formula Sheane titles, so very successful driver there. We're on board now with David Hall as he grabs fourth gear coming out of turn 2, and very quick these cars, 140 brake horsepower at the back wheels and not a whole lot of weight, down into third gear right out the outside. Should get a good run up the hill now, and turning in a little bit early some of the drivers there, but that's a good run for young Hall. Grabs fourth now on the way to the the off camber left hand corner, Ireland.ie next up. That's Brian Hardy in front of him, and he's trying to hang on to that leading pack. Savage out over the curves, pushing very hard there while Balfe is in second place, but Newsom the danger man here right to the outside, that bright yellow car, immaculately turned out as Gary Newsom's cars always are. A former V champion has moved up to Formula Sheane and is going very well. And in fact Balfe having a look now at Savage, and Anton Savage holds the inside, Balfe alongside, in fact gets the nose ahead on the outside, but Savage breaks so late and takes the lead back. Newsom now looks like he's possibly up to second place. Great battle at the front of Formula Sheane. Watch it again, and Newsom does get right round the outside. Look at the car going out of shape there. He doesn't lift out of it at all, keeps the foot in. And then it's, I think that's young Trevor Duffy side by side with Brian Hardy. We're on board now with David Hall again, and that is indeed young Trevor Duffy getting round the outside of Brian Hardy on the approach to turn 3. Trevor Duffy, of course, the son of Formula Ford legend Pat Duffy, who won so many races at Mondello Park many years ago, and he's going very well in the Stafford Plantar car. Savage having to defend now because he has Newsom beside him. Newsom right up the outside very late. Can he possibly switch back to the inside? We've seen this many times at Mondello Park. Gets down the inside. Savage tries to close the door, but Newsom's already there. He's on the inside line, and I think if he can make this stick, if he can just stay side by side as Liam Murphy spins out there coming out of Dunlop corner, on board with Murphy. Little bit of understeer, the car pushes out over the carbs. He keeps it lit, holds the first drift, but it just goes back the other way. Nothing he can do. It doesn't manage to touch anything. Here's the battle for the lead now, and Newsom makes it stick just about. Savage tries to get back across the back of him and just contacts him up in the air and back down, and now the back wing on Newsom's car is very much askew. But David Sheane doing a great job with these cars. Obviously we've got no wheels off, no suspension bends. Are very strong cars, built, remember, in Blaine Row in County Wicklow, all Irish built, all the exact same. Here's Newsom down to turn 3. He doesn't seem to be getting out of shape. The car seems to be handling quite well. There's everybody else screaming through. David Hall, Brian Hardy and the rest. But Micheál Balfour is in second place. Good run from him. Relatively inexperienced. There's David Hall, 34. That's our onboard cameraman. It's Lee Newsom behind him. Younger brother of Gary. Just look how much these cars move around at turn 3 now. So really tough to drive there. And that's Hardy getting up the inside. I think of Savage and Hall trying to follow up too. Bit of a gap now. That's Duffy from Hardy and Hall right up there. So he's coming up through the grid quite well. That's David Hall. Savage now off the track a little bit. Probably has got something askew in the suspension from that big bump, perhaps because he's falling back down through the field. Needs to keep going, of course, for championship points. He's very much one of the fancy runners in this championship. We're on board again with Liam Murphy there. Right out to the curves on turn 1. Through turn 2, just grabs the gear and the ebbs into this one. You can see how quick these cars are. Remember, 1.8, 16 valve engines, 140 brake horsepower at the back wheels. Can go around Mondello in about 57 seconds, so even quicker than a Formula Ford 1600. And there goes Newsom now, wing still askew. Balf having a go at him. Then young Trevor Duffy that we spoke about. Then it's Brian Hardy, David Hall, Lee Newsom next up. And that looks like young Parks, David Parks then, right with him in the red car. And look at this now, Newsom having to defend and Micheál Balf having a good go to number 8 in the Ace Star car. There's Duffy now and Hardy, very much the young cub and the old master there in this class, fighting away. Hall grabbing a gear there and trying to get on the back of this battle, heading down towards turn 3 I should say, in 4th gear. Through the first apex, very hard to get the car slowed. Right to the outside now, Hall should be quick on the exit. He got a good turn in as he grabs 4th gear. He'll be looking to get a run at Brian Hardy, but no gap in front of him. Somebody getting very sideways. 66 going right around there. That's Paul O'Connell. Quick spin for him. He should be able to rejoin. Brian Hardy now beginning to move around behind Trevor Duffy. Really wants to get that place back, and he knows Hall is closing in on him, so it's becoming a 3-car battle. There's Savage still running. Here's our leaders now, and Newsom still seems quite composed despite that wing. I wonder, obviously the officials don't think it's a problem and won't come off, because they'd be calling him in for a look if they did think there was a problem with that. Jared Stafford Plantar car taking a little bit of curve there on the inside of Dunlop corner, trying to get a good run. It's crucial at Mondello to get a good run out of Dunlop corner, because that dictates your speed all the way down the main straight. Newsom now, a little bit of defensive driving from him, just holding the inside of the road. Micheál Balf doing very well, as we said, relatively inexperienced Balf, but going very, very well in these cars. And a huge battle, of course, is for 3rd place. Duffy doing well to hold back Brian Hardy and the Brian Hardy transport car there. And next up then it's still Hall. Then it's young Newsom, good drive from Lee Newsom. Again, immaculately turned out like his brother up front. These cars beautifully prepared. And back to his brother, who's still leading this race. I'm sure he'll have to get that wing fixed for race 2, but he's not too worried about it at the moment. Duffy pulling away from Hardy now. Hall still giving him the work over. Hall looking to move up. We'll go back on board with him in a few minutes' time. In fact, Duffy getting away very much so now. The off-camber Ireland.ie corner, it's the entrance to the S. Is a bit of a handful in any mid-engine car. Begin to get a little bit sideways. Here we're on board again with Hall. Just grabs 4th gear right up on that inside curve. And really aggressive driving from him. Really does want to have a go at Brian Hardy. He's very late on the brakes. Closes in on the back of Hardy. All of them going over that curve on the inside. These cars seem to take a little bit of curve, doesn't bother them too much. Grabs 4th gear on the main straight, but they're so equal as they head down the main straight. And it's still the same thing up front. Micheál Balf a little bit later on the brakes perhaps, but nowhere to go because Newsom driving inch perfect, just holding the centre of the road as they go by the grandstand and down into that Honda corner. And they're all becoming a little bit spaced out in the battle for a second now. Doesn't seem there's anything David Hall can do about Brian Hardy at the moment. Heading down towards turn 3 again. Double apex corner, that's the quick bit. The first apex, then it's round to the outside, down a gear, get it turned in and up the hill. In fact, Hardy a little bit sideways there, and Hall may be able to capitalise on that on the way up the hill. Then it's young Parks, number 9 there, that's David Parks, locking a wheel, coming into the S. He's on board again with Liam Murphy. He's down in turn 3, a battle there in the midfield. He's trying to recover back up the field after that spin we saw him have coming onto the main straight. These cars, of course, can be bought from David Sheane in County Wicklow under €20,000 for the whole package on the button, so very affordable racing. One step up, as we said, from Formula V. David Sheane, the man who introduced Formula V to Ireland many years ago, and decided